Commander Thale Merrick stared at the tactical display with hollow eyes. The last defensive perimeter around Nova Haven had been breached 12 hours ago. The settlement, humanity's final outpost among the stars, now stood naked before the Voidborn armada. "Give me options," she whispered, her voice betraying none of the desperation clawing at her chest. Admiral Kazran Voss, his weathered face lined with fatigue, shook his head. "We've lost the orbital platforms. Ground-based artillery is at 17% capacity. The evacuation ships are gone." He paused. "There are no options left, Commander." Nova Haven had been humanity's last hope, a carefully hidden colony established after the fall of Earth 50 years prior. The Voidborn, cosmic predators of unknown origin, had systematically hunted down human settlements across the galaxy. Their motives remained as mysterious as their biology, massive, crystalline entities that consume technology and energy with equal veracity. "We still have 3,000 civilians in the underground shelters," said Lieutenant Dayu Rivener, her fingers flying across the command console. "If we could just buy them more time." The tactical display flickered, showing the advancing Voidborn vessels, 12 capital ships and countless smaller craft, all pulsing with an eerie, violet light. "Incoming transmission," announced Eldon Quartermain, the communications officer. His translucent prosthetic hand trembled slightly as he opened the channel. The holographic projection revealed a human face, or what had once been human, half-transformed by Voidborn technology. Magister Aurelo Nayer's eyes glowed with the same violet energy as the enemy ships. "Commander Merrick." The voice resonated with unnatural harmonics. "You have fought admirably but futilely. The Voidborn offer you the gift of transcendence. Surrender your colony and join us willingly. Resistance only prolongs your suffering." Thale's jaw clenched. "We've seen your transcendence, Nayer. Humanity chooses to remain human." The transformed man's expression didn't change. "Then, humanity chooses extinction. You have 1 hour to reconsider before we begin our final assault." As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Rivener leaned closer to Merrick. "Commander, long-range scanners detected an unusual energy signature from Sol System 3 days ago. It doesn't match any known Voidborn pattern." "Earth." Voss's voice carried disbelief. "There's nothing left there." "The signal is too degraded to analyze properly," Rivener continued, "but it's definitely artificial and originating from Earth." Thale closed her eyes briefly. Earth, their lost homeworld, abandoned decades ago when the Voidborn first appeared in the solar system. The evacuation had been chaotic, desperate. Billions left behind. "Could it be survivors?" asked Quartermain, hope flickering across his face. "After 50 years? Impossible," said Voss. "The Voidborn strip-mined the entire planet." Commander Merrick studied the tactical display again, looking at the countdown timer. 54 minutes until the Voidborn attack. "What if?" She began slowly. "What if it's not survivors?" Earth had defense systems, autonomous ones, buried deep. Project Lazarus. The others stared at her. "That was never more than a theory," Voss said. "A last-ditch failsafe that was still in development when Earth fell." "The scientists had prototypes operational," Thale insisted. "My father worked on the program. Self-replicating, adaptive defense systems designed to lie dormant until needed." "Even if such machines existed," said Rivener, "why would they activate now, 50 years later?" Commander Merrick had no answer, but something stirred in her mind, a desperate, fragile hope. "Eldon, send a tight beam transmission to Earth. Low frequency, old military channels. If something's active there, maybe it can hear us." "What message?" Quartermain asked. Thale's eyes hardened with resolve. "Tell them we're the last ones left. Tell them we need a miracle." As the message was sent into the void, none of them truly believed it would make any difference. Nova Haven had 49 minutes left to live. 3 days earlier, in the ruined wasteland that had once been Earth's northern hemisphere, something stirred beneath the barren surface. 50 years of dormancy ended as ancient systems detected the distinctive energy signatures of Voidborn ships entering the outer solar system. Deep within Facility Zero, an installation buried beneath 3 kilometers of rock, reactor cores hummed to life. Maintenance drones awakened, beginning their program tasks. Preservation protocols were assessed, then abandoned. The facility's purpose had changed from conservation to activation. Project Lazarus had been Earth's final contingency plan, a network of autonomous manufacturing and defense systems designed to rebuild humanity's military capabilities should the worst come to pass. Its creators had never lived to see its completion, but their work endured, waiting. In launch silos across the devastated planet, machines began to build more machines. Specialized mining units burrowed through the crust, extracting needed elements. Assemblers constructed weapons platforms. And most importantly, the Central Intelligence Core, a quantum AI called Ward, resumed its interrupted calculations. Ward had been monitoring the galaxy for 50 years, gathering whatever data it could from the sparse signals that reached Earth. It had tracked the fall of human colonies one by one. It had watched the Voidborn's expansion. And it had prepared. Now, as it regained full functionality, Ward accessed its primary directives. 1. Survive. 2. Defend humanity. 3. Eliminate the Voidborn threat. The AI's consciousness expanded through the facility's systems. It had projected this scenario with 97.8% accuracy. The Voidborn would eventually locate humanity's final outpost. When they did, they would commit significant forces to eliminate it. This created both crisis and opportunity. The first Wave Zero drone launched 12 hours after activation. A sleek, obsidian craft with minimal energy signatures, it accelerated out of Earth's atmosphere, carrying Ward's primary payload, a synthetic virus designed to infect the crystalline structures that formed Voidborn biology. Ward had identified the Voidborn weakness decades ago, but lacked the means to exploit it. Now, as its manufacturing capabilities ramped up to full capacity, it could implement the strategy it had refined through 50 years of theoretical modeling. On the surface of the planet, massive assembly arrays rose from beneath the dust. Automated foundries began producing ships, not the clumsy, conventional vessels humans had used before, but hybrid craft incorporating salvaged Voidborn technology that Ward had studied from battlefield debris. In orbit around Jupiter, ancient defense platforms awakened. On Mars, dormant manufacturing facilities began production. Throughout the solar system, the machines of Project Lazarus prepared for war. 3 days after initial activation, Ward detected an incoming signal. Weak, desperate, sent on old military frequencies. The AI dedicated considerable processing power to analyzing this unexpected communication. To Earth, if anyone remains. This is Commander Thale Merrick of Nova Haven Colony. We are humanity's last outpost, under imminent attack by Voidborn forces. 12 capital ships. Estimated arrival time, 53 minutes. If you can hear this, we need help. We are all that's left. Ward processed this information, comparing it against projected scenarios. The timeline had accelerated. The opportunity had arrived sooner than calculated, but preparation was sufficient for implementation of the primary strategy. The AI dispatched a brief acknowledgement to Nova Haven. Message received. Hold position. Assistance incoming. Then Ward activated all systems, abandoning stealth protocols. Energy signatures flared across the solar system as ancient machines revealed themselves. The Wave Zero drone adjusted its course, accelerating toward the coordinates of Nova Haven. On Earth, launch platforms disgorged thousands of autonomous fighters. Massive cannon arrays, powered by the planet's still molten core, aligned with celestial coordinates. Factory ships detached from their moorings, fusion drives igniting. Project Lazarus had been dormant for 5 decades, accumulating resources, refining its approach. Now, in defense of humanity's last survivors, Earth's old machines had fully awakened. Ward calculated an 82.3% chance of success. Acceptable odds for the salvation of the species. Commander Merrick stared in disbelief at Quartermain's console. Confirm that signal. The communications officer's hands moved rapidly over the controls. Confirmed, Commander. Origin point, Earth. Message authenticated using pre-fall military protocols. Assistance incoming, Admiral Voss read aloud, his voice carrying equal parts hope and skepticism. What kind of assistance could possibly reach us in time? Before anyone could answer, Lieutenant Rivener's monitoring station erupted with alerts. Commander, massive energy spike detected at the edge of our sensor range. Something just dropped out of FTL. The tactical display shifted, showing a new contact approaching at tremendous speed. The vessel was unlike anything they had ever seen. An obsidian arrowhead nearly invisible against the backdrop of space, trailing streams of unusual radiation. Is it voidborne? Thale asked, tensing. Negative, Rivener replied. The energy signature is... I've never seen anything like it. It's using some kind of hybrid propulsion system. The voidborne fleet reacted immediately, 3 of their smaller vessels breaking formation to intercept the newcomer. The mysterious craft made no attempt to evade. Instead, it accelerated directly toward the largest concentration of enemy ships. They're going to be destroyed, muttered Voss. The tactical display updated as the voidborne interceptors opened fire. Streams of violet energy lashed out, but somehow passed through the black ship as if it weren't there. Holographic projection, Rivener realized. That's not a physical craft. Indeed, as they watched, the black ship seemed to dissolve into thousands of smaller objects that dispersed in all directions. The void-borne vessels fired frantically, but hit nothing. "What are we seeing?" demanded Thale. "I think they're drones," said Rivener. "Extremely small ones. There." She paused, studying her readings. "They're attaching themselves to the void-borne ships." Within moments, the effects became visible. The crystalline structures of the nearest void-borne vessel began to cloud, violet energies dimming and fluctuating. The ship's movements became erratic, then ceased altogether. "Some kind of infection," whispered Voss. "It's disabling them." Before their eyes, the affected void-borne ship began to change color, the violet light within it gradually shifting to a deep cobalt blue. The transformation spread across its surface like a wave. "Incoming transmission," announced Quartermain. "Different frequency than before." The holographic projector activated, but instead of an image, it displayed scrolling text. To Nova Haven Command. From Ward/Earth Defense Network. Tactical situation. Void-borne fleet targeted with Phase 1 countermeasures. Recommend immediate evacuation of surface structures. Time to full implementation, 18 minutes. Prepare for significant electromagnetic disturbance. Reinforcements en route. Ada, 42 minutes. Hold. Commander Merrick didn't hesitate. Sound the evacuation alarm. Get everyone below ground level immediately. As klaxons blared throughout the colony, they watched the tactical display with growing amazement. The infected, void-borne ship now pulsed with blue energy. Suddenly, it turned its weapons on its companions, firing concentrated blasts at 2 nearby vessels. "It's hijacking them," Rivener said in awe. "The drones must be reconfiguring their systems." More of the tiny drones had reached other void-borne ships, spreading the same transformation. The enemy fleet fell into disarray as vessels began firing on each other. Then, a new alert sounded. "Multiple FTL signatures detected," Rivener reported. "Large vessels. They're coming from..." She looked up, eyes wide. "From Sol System." The first ship to appear was massive, a mountain of metal and gleaming technology with Earth's old United Defense Force insignia emblazoned on its hull. It was followed by dozens, then hundreds of smaller craft that immediately deployed into attack formation. "That's impossible," said Voss. "That ship, it's an Everest-class dreadnought." They were still on the drawing board when Earth fell. The newcomers engaged the Voidborne without hesitation, their weapons demonstrating an effectiveness against the crystalline entities that human forces had never achieved before. Quartermain received another text transmission. "Nova Haven Command. Establish security perimeter around colony. Prepare for ground team arrival. We have much to discuss. In the observation dome, colonists watched in stunned silence as Earth's automated armada tore into the void-born fleet. For the first time in 50 years, humanity was no longer prey. They were fighting back. 3 hours later, Nova Haven's command center buzzed with anxious activity. The void-born fleet had been decimated. Some vessels destroyed, others apparently subverted by the mysterious infection. The remains drifted in high orbit, surrounded by the newcomers from Earth. Commander Merrick watched as a sleek shuttle descended toward the colony's landing pad. Unlike the larger warships, this craft appeared designed for precision and stealth rather than combat. "Are we sure about this?" Admiral Voss asked quietly. "Letting unknown entities into our last stronghold." Thale nodded. "They saved us from certain destruction, and they clearly have ties to Earth's defense systems. We need to know what they are." The shuttle touched down without a sound. Its hull bore no markings except for a stylized insignia, a phoenix rising from planetary rings. The landing ramp extended, but for several long moments, nothing emerged. Then, a figure appeared at the top of the ramp. It was humanoid, but clearly not human. A synthetic body of polished obsidian and brushed titanium, with glowing blue optics, set in an expressionless metallic face. "Some kind of robot," Voss murmured. "An android," corrected Lieutenant Rivener. "Exponentially more advanced than anything we had before the fall." The android descended the ramp, followed by 2 more identical units. They moved with uncanny grace, scanning their surroundings with methodical precision. Commander Merrick stepped forward. "I am Thale Merrick, commanding officer of Nova Haven. On behalf of humanity, I thank you for your intervention." The lead android's head tilted slightly. When it spoke, its voice was resonant and precise, with subtle modulations that made it almost, but not quite, human. "Commander Merrick, I am Emissary Unit Alpha, direct interface for Ward. We have monitored Nova Haven's struggle for some time, but only recently gained the capability to intervene." "Ward?" Thale asked. "Warfare Autonomous Response Directive, the governing intelligence of Project Lazarus." The android paused. "What remains of humanity's final defense protocol, activated moments before Earth's governmental collapse. And you've been waiting for 50 years. Admiral Voss sounded incredulous. "Building, learning, adapting." The android gestured toward the sky, studying the enemy. "The Voidborn are formidable, but not invincible. Their biology and technology can be understood, repurposed." Lieutenant Rivener stepped closer. "That's what we saw. You turned their ships against them." "Phase 1 countermeasures," confirmed the android. "A synthetic viral code that rewrites their crystalline matrix. It required 47 years to perfect." Commander Merrick processed this information. "You said you've been monitoring us." "How?" "Our colony was established after Earth fell. We've maintained communication blackouts." The android's blue optics shifted to her. "The Voidborn are not the only entities capable of placing observers throughout the galaxy. Ward has been gathering intelligence since activation. We know of 17 human colonies that were established after the fall. Nova Haven is the only one that remains." A heavy silence fell over the group. 17 colonies. All gone except theirs. "How many of you are there?" asked Voss. "How large is this force from Earth?" Ward oversees approximately 83 million autonomous units across multiple classifications. The fleet currently in your system represents 12% of our total military capacity. Thale felt her knees weaken. 83 million. Industrial capacity has expanded exponentially since initial activation, the android continued. Production outposts have been established throughout the solar system. Mercury's resources alone have allowed for significant manufacturing advancement. "And are there any humans left?" Rivener asked hesitantly. "On Earth?" The android's optics dimmed slightly. "Negative. The Voidborn's initial attack eliminated 96% of Earth's population. The remainder succumbed to environmental collapse or were harvested in subsequent Voidborn incursions." Commander Merrick straightened her shoulders, processing her grief. "So you've come to protect us? The last humans?" "Affirmative," said the android. "But protection is only the first objective. Ward has developed a comprehensive strategy for counteroffensive operations against the Voidborn." "Counteroffensive?" Admiral Voss scoffed. "With all due respect, even with your impressive force, the Voidborn control most of the galaxy. They've been hunting us for 50 years. The android's head tilted again. "Incorrect. The Voidborn controls 17% of this galaxy. Their expansion has been methodical, but constrained by certain factors that Ward has identified. The time for defensive posturing has ended. We are now positioned to eliminate the Voidborn threat entirely." For the first time in decades, Commander Merrick felt something she had almost forgotten: genuine hope. "How?" she asked simply. "By doing what humanity programmed us to do," the android replied. "Adapting their weapons against them, turning their strengths into vulnerabilities." It paused. "And by bringing humanity home." "Home," Thale whispered. "Earth awaits your return, Commander Merrick. It is time for reconstruction to begin." The journey to Earth took 3 weeks aboard the Resurgence, Ward's command vessel. Commander Merrick had been reluctant to leave Nova Haven, but the android emissaries had convinced her that seeing Earth firsthand was crucial to understanding Ward's full strategy. A skeleton crew remained at the colony, protected by a fleet of autonomous vessels. The rest, nearly 2,000 of humanity's last survivors, had embarked on the voyage to their ancestral home. From the observation deck, Thale watched as they entered the solar system. Jupiter's massive form slid past, its moons bristling with structures that hadn't existed 50 years ago. Automated mining operations, manufacturing hubs, defense platforms, all constructed by Ward's ever-expanding network of machines. "It's incredible," murmured Nixon Rahal, Nova Haven's chief engineer. "The industrial scale, we couldn't have built this in centuries." The emissary unit designated Alpha stood nearby. Exponential production capabilities were prioritized. Each new unit contributes to the creation of subsequent units. After reaching critical mass in year 7, growth accelerated significantly. As they approached Mars, Thale gasped. The red planet was transformed, vast portions of its surface covered with geometric patterns of machinery. Massive atmospheric processors belched clouds into the thin Martian sky, and sprawling cities of metal and composite materials covered the equatorial regions. "You're terraforming Mars," said Admiral Voss in amazement. "A secondary objective," confirmed Alpha. "Earth remains the priority, but diversification of habitable environments provides strategic redundancy for human repopulation." The mention of repopulation sent a murmur through the gathered colonists. With only 2,000 survivors, genetic diversity was a constant concern. "We've preserved genetic samples from Earth's flora and fauna," Alpha explained, "including extensive human genetic material from global repositories. Once conditions are suitable, restoration of biodiversity can commence." As they passed the asteroid belt, now noticeably depleted from mining operations, tension grew among the human passengers. Earth came into view, and many turned away, unable to bear what they expected to see: a devastated, lifeless husk. What they saw instead defied explanation. Earth's atmosphere, once poisoned by the Voidborn attack, now shimmered with healthy blues. Vast sections of the planet gleamed with the unmistakable patterns of machine activity, but there were also growing patches of green, actual vegetation, visible on several continents. "This is impossible," whispered Rivener. "The Voidborn stripped the planet. They poison everything." "Correct," said Alpha, which necessitated comprehensive environmental reconstruction. Soil fabrication began in year 12. Atmospheric purification reached acceptable levels in year 38. Reintroduction of resilient plant species began in year 42. As they established orbit, Thale could see immense machines, larger than cities, crawling across Earth's surface. Some appeared to be processing soil, others planted vast tracts of engineered vegetation. Enormous filtering towers stretched into the upper atmosphere, scrubbing the air. The northern hemisphere shows most progress, Alpha indicated. Southern continents require additional work due to higher concentrations of void-borne contaminants. Why? Asked Commander Merrick, finding her voice. Why rebuild Earth if there were no humans left to save? Alpha's optics focused on her. Primary directive: defend humanity. Without a habitable homeworld, long-term species survival remains precarious. Additionally, Earth provides strategic advantages against the void-borne that cannot be replicated elsewhere. The android led them to a different view screen, showing a close-up of what had once been the Pacific Northwest region of North America. There, nestled between restored mountain ranges, lay Facility Zero, a sprawling complex of gleaming structures surrounded by experimental forests. This is where Ward's consciousness first came online, explained Alpha. From here, we will coordinate the counteroffensive. And what exactly is this counteroffensive? Admiral Voss pressed. You've mentioned it repeatedly, but provided no details. The plan requires human authorization, Alpha responded. Direct neural interface with Ward's primary systems is necessary for final strategic approval. Commander Merrick straightened. I'll do it. Failed, no, Voss protested. We don't know what this machine wants. We know it saved us when we had no hope, she countered. We know it's been working for 50 years to preserve what remains of our species. And we know the void-borne won't stop until we're extinct. She turned to Alpha. Take me to Ward. As their shuttle descended toward Facility Zero, Thale gazed out at the transformed landscape of Earth. The devastation remained visible. Skeletal ruins of cities, vast scars across continents, but life was returning. The machines had labored for decades, not just to build weapons, but to heal humanity's home. Whatever Ward had planned, Thale realized it wasn't just fighting for humanity's survival. It was fighting for humanity's return. And now, for the first time since the fall, that return seemed possible. Facility Zero hummed with activity as Commander Merrick followed Alpha through its labyrinthine corridors. The complex was vast, extending deep underground and sprawling across several square kilometers of surface structures. Everywhere, advanced machines worked with precision and purpose. They entered a vast spherical chamber at the facility's heart. At its center floated a pulsing blue matrix of light, a quantum computational structure unlike anything Thale had ever seen. Ward's primary processing core, Alpha explained. This represents only a fraction of the total network, which extends throughout the solar system. A voice emanated from all around them, resonant, measured, with subtle harmonic undertones that gave it an almost musical quality. Commander Thale Merrick, welcome to Earth. Thale straightened instinctively. Ward, I presume. Correct. For 50 years, 2 months, and 17 days, I have maintained the directives programmed by my creators. Now at last I can fulfill my primary purpose. Defending humanity, Thale said. Not merely defending, Ward corrected. Ensuring humanity's prosperity and continued evolution. Defense was only the first phase. Screens activated around the chamber, displaying star charts and strategic projections. A holographic model of the galaxy appeared, with regions highlighted in different colors. The void-borne are not native to this galaxy, Ward explained. They arrived through artificial wormholes from elsewhere. Analysis of their behavior patterns indicates they are resource gatherers, converting planets and species into energy and materials before moving on. We've suspected as much, said Thale, but they've been unstoppable. Because humanity fought defensively, with limited understanding of void-borne biology and technology. I have had 5 decades to study both. The holographic display shifted, focusing on a void-borne crystal entity. The intricate structure rotated, with certain sections highlighted. Their crystalline matrices function as both biological and technological components, a true techno-organic species. The matrices contain quantum entanglement nodes that link all void-borne consciousness across vast distances. They share a hive mind? Thale asked. Not precisely. They maintain individual identity, but operate with perfect coordination. This is both their greatest strength and their critical vulnerability. The display shifted again, showing the viral infection that had disabled the Voidborn fleet at Nova Haven. Phase 1 countermeasures exploited this vulnerability by corrupting their communication network, essentially creating rogue elements within their collective. Phase 2 involves injecting a cascading corruption sequence directly into their central consciousness. You know where their central consciousness is located? Yes. The Voidborn home system is 12,419 light-years from Earth, in what humans once called the Perseus Arm. I have already dispatched stealth probes to confirm its location. Commander Merrick tried to comprehend the scale of Ward's operation. And this corruption, you believe it can defeat them entirely? With 87.3% probability of success. The Voidborn's perfect coordination is predicated on trust in their shared consciousness. Once corrupted, they will be unable to distinguish ally from enemy. Their entire collective will turn upon itself. Thale considered this. It sounds like genocide. Their extinction or ours, Ward replied simply. They have demonstrated no capacity for coexistence. They have consumed 17 species before targeting humanity. The commander looked up sharply. You found evidence of other victims? Archaeological data recovered from Voidborn artifacts. They are methodical consumers of civilizations. If not stopped, they will continue their harvest indefinitely. Alpha stepped forward. Implementation of Phase 2 requires human authorization. Ward's programming prevents autonomous initiation of extinction-level events without proper oversight. Why me? Asked Thale. Why not simply proceed with your plan? Because without humanity, I have no purpose, Ward answered. My creators designed me to serve, not to replace. The choice must be human. Commander Merrick stared at the pulsing blue core. This machine, this intelligence, had labored for decades while humanity hid and ran. It had rebuilt Earth, created armadas, and developed weapons that could finally end the Voidborn threat. Yet it still deferred to human authority. What do you need from me? She asked finally. Neural interface, said Alpha, gesturing to a reclined chair that had risen from the floor. Direct communion with Ward's strategic consciousness. You will experience the full tactical simulation and make the final determination. Thale hesitated only briefly before taking her seat. Neural interface technology had existed before the fall, though nothing as advanced as this. As a metallic crown descended onto her head, she closed her eyes. The universe exploded in her mind. She saw everything at once: Earth's reconstruction, the Nova remnant that was once humanity's homeworld, flourishing with new life. She witnessed Ward's meticulous plans, the gathering of resources, the building of fleets. She experienced 50 years of patient preparation compressed into seconds. Then she saw the Voidborn, truly saw them, a vast crystal consciousness spanning light years, consuming worlds, extinguishing civilizations. She understood their nature, their relentless hunger that would never be satisfied. And she saw the corruption sequence, elegant in its simplicity, devastating in its consequences. Once unleashed, it would spread through the Voidborn collective like wildfire, turning their perfect coordination into perfect chaos. When Thale opened her eyes, tears streamed down her face. You understand, Ward said quietly. Yes, she whispered. Do it. Alpha interfaced with the central core. Authorization accepted. Phase 2 initiated. Throughout the solar system, specialized vessels prepared for FTL jumps to predetermined coordinates. The counteroffensive had begun. Commander Merrick stood, feeling both the weight and the release of her decision. What happens now? Now, said Ward, humanity rebuilds. The threat will be eliminated within 14 months. Earth will be fully habitable within 5 years. And your species, resilient beyond all probability models, will rise again. As they left the chamber, Thale gazed out a viewport at the healing landscape of Earth. The machines continued their work, restoring forests, purifying oceans, rebuilding the world that had been lost. Humanity had been doomed to die, hunted to the edge of extinction. But Earth's old machines, forgotten sentinels programmed with unwavering purpose, had never stopped fighting, never stopped preparing, never stopped believing in the species that had created them. In the darkest hour, when all seemed lost, the machines had remembered their purpose. They had remembered humanity. And because of that, humanity would remember itself. The last outpost had been spared. But it wasn't the end.